Please, I beg you. Let's get a divorce and just get out. I've inherited the condo and you're no longer of any use to me.
Saying this, my husband, Landon, got down on his knees. Being happy after hearing what my husband had to say, I took something out of a drawer. Yeah, sure. Here are the divorce papers. I left immediately, just as my husband wanted. My name is Allie. I am a 34-year-old office worker. I am still working at the advertising company where I started working after graduating from college. At first, I didn't know what was right or left, but after 12 years like this, I seemed to grow up naturally. I am now in a position to manage my subordinates as a general manager, and I am busy working every day. I love my job very much, so I can work as much as I want. Before I knew it, I was neglecting my private life. It's about time for you to stop being a workaholic. You can't continue to be a workaholic. A good friend of mine, Amy, said to me, "It's career women like you, Allie, who are declining birth rates in this country, you know." I thought it was fine to be single for the rest of my life. But when my friend who had 5 children said that to me, I began to seriously think about partners and marriage. Hey, do you want me to get married after all, Mom?
Huh? What's the matter? Do you have a fever or something?
What? No, I don't. I explained to my mother what Amy had told me and said I wanted to know what my parents thought. My mother laughed and said, "I wasn't expecting much from you," and then added, "But the thought of you as a bride and the child you will give birth to makes me excited." I knew it.
Of course, it's about my beautiful daughter. Anything would make me happy. Well, but my son is already married and they just had a baby, so it's fine, you know.
Ah, that's true. I have a younger brother, 4 years younger than me, who has already been married for 3 years and has 1 child. He and his wife work together, so their income is very stable and they have a happy family. Looking at my brother's family, I certainly think marriage is a good idea. But I have completely forgotten how to meet people. I don't even remember how to fall in love because I haven't been in love for a long time. Being like that, I thought, I can't be like this. Then a colleague of mine heard about my situation and decided to hold a matchmaking party. You and I are the only ones left, so let's just do our best in our own timing. My colleague said that to me. I guess she meant, don't be picky with men. But she's right. I have worked hard at my job, but not at all as a woman. So I decided not to be too aggressive here, but to keep an eye on things and try to talk to various people. At the party, as expected, my colleagues and I were the eldest people from the group. The men were all in their late 20s, about 5 or 6 years younger than us. But they were all calm and easy to talk to, and I simply enjoyed the party. We switched seats and I talked with the man next to me about a number of things. That man was Landon, who later became my husband. Landon was very friendly and cheerful, but not childish or younger than me. Moreover, he and I shared the same taste in music and we had a lot of fun talking. Then we exchanged contact information and we started meeting together. There was just a live concert of an artist we both liked in common, so we went to see it together. Then we went for a drive, had tea at a cafe, and went out for drinks. And we grew closer and closer, and we ended up going out. I thought I had forgotten how to fall in love, but that didn't matter when I fell in love. We just enjoyed our time together so much. And then we started dating, and a year passed in a blink of an eye. I don't think a year has ever felt so fast. Then one day, he invited me to dinner at a fancy restaurant with a beautiful night view. I found myself having a little expectation, and as I had the meal with him, I was thinking, no way, to myself, wondering if it was possible. The meals were very good, but I was more nervous about what was going to happen next. Then he pulled a ring out of his suit pocket and proposed to me.
Allie, marry me. Let's build a nice, warm family together from now on.
Yes. Thus we got married. When I reported to my friends that I had decided to get married, they cried and were happy. "I'm so happy that you finally found happiness, Allie." "Thank you. Please come to the wedding too." "Of course, I'll be there." When I reported that to my parents, they were both very happy as well. I knew that both my father and mother were looking forward to my marriage. Then, after meeting both of our families, he and I had our wedding ceremony. My friends and colleagues all congratulated us, and I was beyond happy. Then, my married life with Landon started.
Allie, welcome back.
I'm home.
Dinner is ready. Today it's curry.
Wow, looks delicious. I'm going to go get changed. My husband always cooks for me because he finishes work earlier than I do. To be honest, I'm not a very good cook, so I really appreciate it. Besides, his meals taste so good. He says it's not his own skill because he follows the recipe, but I still think it's great that he can follow the recipe exactly, and it tastes really good. So, I think he's a very good cook. Thanks to my husband's cooking, I can work overtime without any worries. And when I come home tired, a delicious and nutritious meal helps my body recover from all the tiredness. I felt very happy that I was able to get a really good husband. I had no doubt in my mind that I would continue to enjoy my days with my husband, eventually have children, and build a warm family. However, about a year into our honeymoon, there was something that worried me. It was that my husband always carried his phone with him wherever he went. Surely there are men like that, but my husband used to leave it on the table when we were first married, or go to the bathroom or bath with it where I could see it. I felt a little uncomfortable because he suddenly started carrying it wherever he went, as if he had completely changed. Since this was happening so often, I decided to take the plunge and ask my husband about it. "You've been clutching your phone all the time lately, but you didn't used to do that, did you?"
What?
My husband was upset to hear me say that. Then, after his eyes swam a little, he said,
Oh, so that I can respond immediately when I get a work call or something.
Something was very suspicious about him. I thought so, but I still wanted to believe my husband. I thought to myself, let's not pry too much into his life, and let's not suspect anything. So I decided not to say anything else for the time being. However, the more I tried to believe him, the more suspicious things became more and more obvious. My husband often went to a store late at night.
I'm going to go by the store right now.
Why?
I'm craving something sweets, actually. I thought I'd pick up some sweets. I'll get one for you too, Allie.
Oh, thanks. At first, I thought he simply wanted something sweet. But even for that, he often goes to the store frequently. And since it takes only 5 minutes to get to the store, which is really close by, even if he gets a little lost in the store, he should be able to return home in about 15 to 20 minutes. But when my husband went to the store, he always didn't return for about 40 to 50 minutes. And if he wanted something so sweet all the time, I once bought him something sweet at a pastry store on my way home from work. But my husband did not look very happy, and with a wry smile on his face, he said,
Thank you.
It was then that I realized that my husband was not there at the store to get sweets. So what on earth was he doing there? I was very curious, but I did not know how to ask him. And furthermore, my husband started going out drinking a lot on weekends. He used to come home on time and cook dinner for the two of us, but recently he had been out drinking with people from work and didn't come home until late at night or until dawn. If he was really busy with work and had to drink as part of his job, I would try to be understanding, but that is not the way I see my husband. Rather, he always seems to be looking forward to the drinks, which really had nothing to do with work. In this way, the number of points that seemed suspicious kept increasing, and I was concerned. Could my husband be having an affair? I couldn't help but keep these thoughts in my mind. I wanted to believe that it was not true. At that time, I was still in love with my husband, but he was still acting suspiciously. He kept his phone close to him, went to the store every night, and went out drinking on the weekends. I was very distressed because I was getting bothered. While I was having such a hard time, I received a call from my friend, Amy. "Hey Allie, you're not divorced, right?" "What? What are you saying all of a sudden?" I was surprised to be asked such a question out of the blue. And my friend said, "Your husband came to the real estate agency where I work." "What? To the real estate agency?" My husband has never talked about moving or building a house. Why would my husband go to such a place? As I was thinking this, my friend, looking a little uncomfortable, says, "Actually," and began to talk. To my surprise, she told me that my husband had visited the real estate agency with a woman whom I've never seen before. I had never spoken to Landon directly, so I don't think he was aware of me. But I was at your wedding, so I knew what he looked like. And besides, I recognized the same person because he wrote his name down. So it was definitely your husband, Allie. No way. I felt as if I had been hit on the head with something. My husband, in other words, was having an affair. I had no solid proof, but I guessed that was the case. My husband's suspicious behavior until now became clear to me. I felt like I had connected the dots. I didn't want to think that, but I knew it was what I had expected. I was in shock, but I also felt somewhat blown away. To my own surprise, I felt my love for my husband disappear, bit by bit. Then I decided to request an investigation by an investigation agency in order to obtain solid evidence. I could no longer be kind to my husband. He would talk to me in a natural way, but I would get annoyed because the affair would flicker in my mind. So I often acted coldly, and my husband was troubled.
"Oh, what's wrong? Are you in bad mood?"
"It's nothing."
"Oh, I see."
My husband would look awkward and quietly go into his room and not come out for a while. Then my husband says that from this month, he has been going on more and more business trips, and he is away from home for 2 or 3 days every week. But I know the truth. I know that my husband only goes to his lover's house. I found this out from the results of the investigation from the agency that I received later on. Around the time I received the results of the investigation, I was ready for things to be done, so I started preparing for divorce. But then something unexpected happened. My father-in-law passed away. My parents-in-law had treated me very well, and I wanted to attend his funeral. If I divorce first, I will not be able to go to the funeral. So I decided not to file for divorce at once and wait until after the funeral. After attending the funeral and seeing my father-in-law off well, I finally decided to say goodbye to my husband. But my husband said goodbye to me before I did.
"Allie, I know this is selfish, but I want a divorce."
What? I was surprised that my husband was the one to initiate the divorce. Since the affair seemed to have been going on for a long time, I thought they were just playing around without wanting to get any divorce. Why?
"Well, that's..."
My husband was at a loss for words. He didn't think I would ask him why. I think that's stupid of him, but that's the way my husband is. It's really bad when he doesn't think things through. Well, I guess that's why he is having an affair. My husband couldn't think of a suitable reason, so he said something like this.
"Oh, you know, I just wanted to be with a wealthy person. I thought I could have a good time with you if I was with the general manager of a major company. But things have turned out differently than I expected, due to some personal differences. Please, I beg you, let's get a divorce and just get out. I've inherited the condo, and you're no longer of any use to me."
Saying this, my husband Landon got down on his knees. Apparently, when my father-in-law passed away, he inherited the apartment that belonged to him. So he told me that I was no longer of any use to him. I guess he is a selfish person to no end. But thank God he cut me out of his life because I was originally going to divorce him. Being happy with what I heard, I pulled something out of the drawer. Okay, sure. Here are the divorce papers.
What?
My husband didn't seem to think I had filled out divorce papers.
Hey, why do you have this?
Because I wanted to divorce you too. I told him so. My husband was a little surprised, but laughed and said,
Oh, I see. Well, I guess we were thinking the same, huh?
Then he signed the divorce papers.
This condo will be mine, so, well, I hope you have a good life.
That's what my husband would say to me. I left immediately, just as my husband wanted. But that wasn't the end of my revenge. I had already rented a new room, so I could move right out. Then I sent a content-certified letter to his office. Soon after that, I received a phone call from my husband.
Why would you send that to my office?
Because I need to have you judged for your wrongdoings. Don't you think so? I know you were having an affair. I will make sure you pay me alimony.
No way!
Landon had no idea that I knew that he was having an affair. He seemed a little awkward, but soon returned to a triumphant mood.
Well, but I inherited a condo, so I can pay alimony.
Oh, what a relief then. You and your mistress's alimony together would be about $60,000.
$60,000? Well, we can get by if we sell the condo.
My husband says so, but he was quite upset. But I told him a fact. I'm sorry, but I don't think you'll ever be able to sell that condo.
Huh? Why not?
First of all, that condo is like 20 years old. It's not going to sell in the first place when it's used for some time like that. And next year, a much taller condo will be built next to your condo, so the view of the scenery from your condo won't be as good. And with that, the value would go down in no time.
No way.
My husband apparently didn't think about that. Oh, and you have to pay inheritance tax too, so be careful. He didn't seem to have heard me and didn't respond. I decided I had enough and hung up the phone. Then, through my lawyer, I filed a claim for alimony against my husband and his mistress. Incidentally, as I had predicted, the condo that my husband had inherited could not be sold, and they seemed to be in a lot of trouble. They had no choice but to start living in the condo, but the condo is old-fashioned, and the high floors make it inconvenient and difficult to live in, and the high maintenance costs make life difficult living there. But even if they wanted to let it go, they could only sell it at a low price, so they are unable to take the plunge. When I heard this story from a mutual friend, I thought to myself, suck it up. Meanwhile, I am living comfortably by myself in a newly rented apartment. Since I don't need to be in love for a while, I'm going to continue to devote myself to my work and try to be filial in other ways, such as giving my parents trips as gifts. Thank you for watching to the end. Please subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.
Oh, Tony, look at our baby. Go on, hold her. My husband just stared at me along with my in-laws when I said that. Then they said something I never thought they would say. You can't have children with me because I'm infertile, right? Who's the father? You should get a divorce. I was stunned by this out of the blue. Then the doctor said on my behalf, shall we find out who the father is? What? My husband and mother-in-law suddenly panicked at the doctor's comment. My name is Kara. I am a 31-year-old office worker. My husband Tony and I have been married for 2 years. We were classmates in college, and even after we entered the workforce, we kept in touch with each other and naturally started dating. After 3 years of dating, he proposed to me and we got married. Although we started dating casually, we had been friends since college, and I felt very comfortable with him. So when he proposed to me, I readily accepted the idea of marrying him. I knew I could be with him forever. That's how I felt. And even after we got married, I felt the same way. He still cared for me as he did when we were dating. And we are very happy in our marriage. Since we had been together for many years and had lived together, I thought that marriage would be the same as before. But marriage seemed to bring a fresh feeling to everything. And I always felt excited to be with him. We worked together and had a well-balanced life with each of us at the home. My husband has been living alone for a long time, and to some extent, he is able to cook for himself, which is very helpful. Recently, he seemed to be addicted to the taste of curry, and has a variety of spices in the house. So on weekends and holidays, my husband always makes spiced curry. Compared to the first time, the taste has been getting better and better, and he's so addicted to it that I think he might open a restaurant. I am also addicted to baking, and on holidays, we often enjoy eating baked sweets I make at home with my husband. Since we don't spend money on any other activities, I think we have a rich life with both working and a comfortable income. We're not extravagant by any means, but we are certainly living a happy life. I think such a feeling is the best. There's no need to live in a high-rent place, or to wear expensive things to look good. If you really like the brand, that's fine. But I don't try to get something just because it will make people around you think I'm great. You will end up finding yourself in a situation where it won't be accepted by others again, and you will try to make up for it with things. And then you will find yourself running out of money, and your mind will be ruled by anxiety and impatience. And sometimes you will even go into debt. So I personally believe that it is best to save money while living within one's means. I am sure that my husband feels the same way, which is why we are still happy married after 2 years. But recently, his behavior started to change. What do you think? What? New clothes? That's unusual. I bought it because I thought it looked cool. So, what do you think? I like it. It looks good on you. Good. But it's a brand name. I'm surprised you decided to buy it. I just had to have it. I see. I thought it was unusual for my husband, who had never been interested in clothes before. Well, people's taste can change suddenly. And if he's buying it because he's happy with it, then there's no problem. However, my husband's appearance changed after that. He started to do his hair in fashionable styles, and even started to wear men's perfume. What's the matter with you lately? You seem to be taking a lot of care about your appearance. Whoa, I'm a section chief now too. And now I'm worried about the way my subordinates look at me. I thought I should change my appearance so that they'll think I'm a cool boss. I see. I was a little surprised. I thought my husband was the type of person who's not influenced by the superficial evaluations of others, just like me. But when you are in a higher position and people pay attention to you, maybe you start to pay attention to those things. Well, my husband seemed to be buying them within his allowance, and I didn't want to be so strict about it. Besides, I am glad that my husband is cool. I would stop him if he's going to make too many expensive purchases, but I'm sure he can control himself there. For the time being, he seemed to be making do with his allowance. However, a little after that, my husband said something like this. Hey, I was wondering if you could give me some money. What? Why? Considering what you earn, that should be enough, right? That's not so little. I think it's pretty average. Even though I told him so, he still didn't seem to be convinced. I feel like I'm the one who's losing money. Why do you say that? You've been leaving me in charge of the household's finances because you think it's too much of a hassle. I know, but aren't you making sure that you're more of your share? I'm not doing that. I thought it was getting too much. I got angry, and my husband didn't talk about it anymore. But I didn't think we would come to this point to fight about something like this. we made up and went back to our normal routine. Well, it's been 2 years since we got married. And maybe it's time for us to start noticing each other's various aspects. I was hoping that we could talk things out and get along well with each other in such a situation. Then a very happy thing happened.
What? You're pregnant?
It's ours.
That's amazing.
It turns out I'm pregnant.
Kira, thank you. I'm gonna try harder.
My husband was happy to hear that. We're going to have a new family, and we're going to be happy. Just thinking about it made my heart beat faster. Then I started to rest as much as possible because I was pregnant. My husband said he would work hard because we would need more money after the baby was born. And he continued to work overtime as usual. I wanted him to come home early, at least until the baby was born, but he went back to his work. When I pointed this out to him, he said,
I see. I'm sorry I didn't think of that. I'll try to get my mom to support you.
He started inviting my mother-in-law to the house. Well, that's not what I meant. I don't think my husband and I are communicating very well these days. Well, my relationship with my mother-in-law is not so bad, and it's nice to have someone there for me. Then I entered a stable period and started to prepare for the birth in earnest. My husband was coming home quite late, so I decided that I couldn't make my mother-in-law wait that long every time. So I decided to have the baby back home.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure. Thank you for all the support you have given me. I thanked my mother-in-law and went home.
Kira, welcome home.
Hi, Mom. My mother lives alone in my parents' house. She lives in a rural area, so I don't get to go home often. And I feel sorry for her. She always told me not to worry about it, but still, she was very happy when I came back home. This time, I can stay with her for a long time because I am going to have a baby at home. I was happy to be back home for the first time in a while and enjoyed talking with my mother. We talked about work and the pregnancy while eating her home-cooked food. We had a relaxing time together. As we spent time together in this way, my belly was getting bigger. Soon, my husband and I would have a beautiful child. I couldn't help but feel excited at the thought of it. But I was also a little anxious at the same time. That is, my husband has not been responding to me much lately. I basically reported to him about my health and the baby's condition. In the beginning, he didn't reply, but then gradually he never did. And now he doesn't even read my messages. Is something wrong? Maybe he's just busy with work. My delivery was getting closer and closer, and I was still a little confused. Finally, I went into labor, and my mother accompanied me to the hospital, which helped me a lot. Then I endured the pain and safely gave birth to a beautiful baby girl.
Kira, you did great. It's a beautiful baby.
Really? She's so cute. My baby was so cute the first time I saw her. And I had sent a message to my husband to let him know I was in labor. So I was hoping he would be there to witness the birth. Tony didn't come. Apparently not. Even if he is busy with his work, my mother complained that my husband would prioritize the birth of his own child. I would like to complain to my husband when I see him, but I would rather he hold our newborn child in his arms. That's what I thought. The next day, my husband came to the hospital with my parents-in-law. Oh, Tony! My husband finally arrived. I wanted to complain, but I was relieved to see his face. Look at our baby! Hold her! This is when I noticed something a little strange. My husband just stared at me along with my in-laws when I said that. What's wrong with you? And both of them looked grim. And I sensed something was wrong. I asked them fearfully. Unfortunately, my mother had an appointment at the hospital she was visiting, so she was not here today. The air was heavy. And then they said something I never thought they would say.
Whose baby did you give birth to?
What are you talking about? It's your baby, isn't it?
You can't have kids with me because I'm infertile, right? Who's the father? I'll divorce you.
I'm stunned by such words out of the blue. Wait a minute. Of course it's your child.
I hurriedly retorted.
And my father-in-law glared at me.
My son is physically incapable of having a child. Are you trying to get away with this after all this time?
I couldn't think very well what the situation was, since it had been only 1 day since the birth. But my in-laws blamed me mercilessly. At that time, the door of the hospital room opened and a doctor came in. The doctor said on my behalf,
"Shall we find out who the father is? Mrs. Kara has just given birth and is in a state of mental and physical exhaustion. If you push her any further, I, as her doctor, will have to ensure her safety."
You were all yelling so loud. I could hear what you're saying.
But the point is, we just need to find out who the father of the baby is, right?
That's what I'm saying.
She's having an affair. So let her confess who she's having an affair with.
And then we'll file for alimony and get a divorce. My husband and mother-in-law said something like that. The doctor retorted,
"How can you be so sure she's having an affair?"
"Because my son is infertile."
"I can't have children." "So that means my wife was having an affair and planning to beg me for money." "I see. Then why did you say such a thing after the baby was born?" "Huh? When did you find out you were infertile?" "Well, it was, just recently." "Why would you want to be tested when your wife is pregnant?" "Normally, you wouldn't want to be tested because you would feel sure that you're fertile, right?"
My husband and mother-in-law suddenly panicked at the doctor's comment.
"That's right. It's even stranger that you got the test result after the baby was born. If the test had been done before the pregnancy, the results would certainly have come back before the baby was born. Then you would have questioned her when you got the results, right?" That's...
The doctor pointed out that my husband's statement was suspicious. My father-in-law, who was listening to this, started to argue with the doctor's statement.
"I think he's right. I had thought that my son would never lie. But now the strange things are starting to come out. It is true that I am really infertile. Then, why did you get tested?"
My husband and mother-in-law started to panic even more as my father-in-law joined in the questioning.
"Wait a minute. Don't you believe our son?" "I want to believe my son, but I want to know the truth." "Shall we do a DNA test then?"
"What?" When the word DNA test was mentioned, my husband and mother-in-law got more upset.
"Is that really necessary?" "Huh? Since my body is incapable of having children, we already know the result, don't we?" "A DNA test is necessary to prove that. And if you were going to accuse her of adultery and divorce her, you need to examine her in detail, don't you?"
My husband and mother-in-law were absolutely shocked when the doctor said that. My head finally started to spin, and I strained my words with the thought that I had to protect this child. "Let's do the DNA test. I'll get the results and show that you were lying." Then the doctor sent their in-laws away from the room.
"Thank you so much." "No, don't worry about it. Actually, your mother asked me to. She asked me to protect you when she can't come to the hospital."
"Mom did?"
"Yes. She heard about your husband's recent behavior and thought it was suspicious. She said that she is now asking a professional to investigate if he is having an affair. If I had listened to the conversation earlier, your husband is definitely lying, and it seems certain that he is having an affair. Please be assured that I will refuse to let him visit you from now on."
"Thank you very much." I thanked the doctor and was surprised to know that my mother had done such a thing without my knowledge. The next day, when I told my mother who came to the hospital, she smiled and said that she got the evidence too. My daughter and grandchildren are very important to me, and I have to protect them. When I checked the evidence of my husband's infidelity that my mother had obtained, I found a picture of him going into a hotel with a subordinate at his office. That's unforgivable. How could he suspect me of infidelity when he himself was having an affair? Then we went to my parents-in-law's house with the evidence. My father-in-law was surprised to see the evidence of the affair, and my husband and mother-in-law became pale. You were going to be with the adulterer, so you tried to frame me and divorce me.
That's... I see. Connie, explain yourself.
My father-in-law yelled at him, and my husband confessed with a frightened look on his face. Everything went as I expected. And to my surprise, my mother-in-law seemed to know about it, and was cooperating with him. She was disappointed that she heard that the baby was a girl, and she thought they could expect another baby when she heard that the lover was a young woman. That's disgusting. My father-in-law apologized to me and my mother.
I trusted them just because they were my family, and I hurt you guys. I'm so sorry. I'll let you divorce my son and make sure he pays alimony and child support. No. Why are you making this decision on your own? Shut up. You should know the weight of what you've done. And you should be sorry for being a part of such a lie. You should both reflect on what you've done. So pack your bags and leave. Wait a minute. What do you mean we should reflect? I don't want to live with you for a while. Why don't you and your son just live with yourselves? I'll change the locks on the house so you can't get in. That's not right.
We left the house after that, and I demanded alimony from my husband and the adulterer and child support as well. Also, the fact that he was trying to get alimony from me was judged to be malicious, and the alimony to my husband was increased considerably. My husband tried to get together with his girlfriend, but my mother-in-law cried and moved in with him. So his girlfriend said, I can't pay alimony and live with your mother, and ran away. Furthermore, the girlfriend complained to the company that my husband had sexually harassed her, and so he was demoted regardless of whether the facts were correct or not. It seems that the company also judged that the divorce was going through at the same time, and that it will be a hardship on the company. However, despite the cold looks he receives from those around him, he still has to pay alimony and child support, as well as earn money to live with his mother. He feels ashamed and stressed every day as he works. He deserves everything he gets, and I have no sympathy for him. On the other hand, I applied to the company to switch to remote work so that I can live at home with my mother and raise my daughter. My mother and I have gotten along even more with the doctor who helped us with the case. Recently, I have been inviting him to our house for dinner, and we are gradually getting closer to each other. I do not know what will happen from now on, but I secretly hope to have a relationship with him in the future.
How's the new house?
It's alright, I guess.
You seem a bit down.
Well, I was thinking we should have talked about that beforehand.
While my husband was mumbling and not attempting to continue the conversation, the car arrived at our house. In front of us stood a grand two-family home. Oh, what an impressive house! My husband remained silent, lost in his thoughts without saying anything. My name is Kaya, and I am 34 years old. I am currently dedicated to raising our child with all my might. Taking care of our child, who is now 6 months old, has been much more challenging than I imagined. Initially, I had planned to return home 1 month after giving birth and not rely on my parents' help, but due to certain circumstances, I ended up staying at my parents' house. I am truly grateful that my mother actively assists me with childcare as I struggle with the unfamiliar tasks of raising a child. In the first place, the reason I had to rely on my mother's help was because my husband, Tyler, displayed the utmost level of incompetence. My husband and I celebrated our 7th wedding anniversary and finally conceived our long-awaited first child. Until our third year of marriage, we hoped for a natural pregnancy, but as there were no signs of conception, we began visiting a clinic together to try infertility treatments. However, after 2 years of continuous efforts with no signs of pregnancy, we became mentally exhausted and decided to stop the infertility treatments. We then discussed the idea of enjoying our married life as a couple and started searching for a piece of land to build a home where we could fully embrace our lives together. Due to my professional connections in the construction industry, I sought the help of the manager of a construction company whom I was acquainted with, and we managed to find a piece of land that met our criteria. When it came time to make the purchase, my husband made an unexpected remark.
I'm the one who should handle the formalities.
Since we'll be paying off the loan together, wouldn't it be better to have a joint ownership?
No, I'm the pillar of the family, so let me take care of this.
What does he mean by pillar of the family? If we consider only the earnings, I actually make more than my husband. But mentioning this might hurt my husband's pride. Of course, my husband is aware that I earn more, but I deliberately avoid bringing up that topic. Although there are some aspects that don't sit well with me, we are still a married couple, even if it's in my husband's name. There shouldn't be any major issues. I decided to accept my husband's assertion. Not only did the construction company assist us in finding this land, but they also helped with the construction itself. Just when we were about to begin the construction, I discovered that I was pregnant. We were overjoyed and in the height of happiness, experiencing unexpected good fortune. By the time the house is built, the baby will be born.
Yeah, that's right. It's something to look forward to.
Our dog will also be able to run around in the yard on this land, right?
Yeah, we can let it play outside a lot.
I wonder if I'll eventually be able to chase after it with my child. We have been preparing to welcome a puppy through a breeder since before pregnancy. I have loved dogs since I was a child, and my parents also had dogs at home. At that time, I believed I could have everything I wanted. However, right after the pregnancy was confirmed, I was forced to be hospitalized. I experienced ongoing abnormal bleeding, and as a result, I was diagnosed with a threatened miscarriage, leading to a 1-month hospitalization.
Leave everything about the house to me. I'll make sure to check on it properly.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I entrusted all the matters of our new home construction to my husband. After being discharged from the hospital a month later, my anemia symptoms didn't improve, and I spent most of my time lying down. I couldn't visit the new house under construction and could only rely on secondhand information from my husband.
Don't worry, the construction is going smoothly.
Thank you.
By the way, I have a suggestion. Since I'm also busy with work and can't stay at home, wouldn't it be better for you to stay at your parents' house?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I'm worried. It would be reassuring if your mom could take care of things during the day.
I feel like my husband shows more concern for me, but it's as if he's subtly suggesting that I'm in the way. When I contacted my mother, who lives nearby, she seemed concerned about my health. She said, since it's a maternity leave, it's better for you to stay here for a while. Despite being concerned about my husband's attitude, I decided to rely on my mother. And after spending 2 weeks back at my parents' house, I received a call from the construction company's manager.
How are you feeling?
Thanks to everyone's support, I'm recovering well. However, I still can't move around, so I haven't been able to visit the house.
What happened afterward?
The manager hesitates in his words. Could it be that something happened with my husband?
Well, you see, the contract is in your husband's name, so it's not an issue for us. But your husband requested an increase in the loan amount.
Huh? Why would he suddenly need an increase in the loan? We've already completed the design plans and started construction. What do you mean?
I see, so you haven't been informed.
No.
Your husband expressed the desire to expand the house.
Words fail to come out. Expanding the house? I never heard such a thing. What does this mean?
Actually, your husband and mother came to the company.
Mother?
No, I mean your husband's mother.
Okay.
He wants to make it a 2-household house, you see. From our perspective, since we've just started the construction, we can still manage to lay the foundation in time. It would increase our revenue, so it's not a bad deal. But Kaya, you weren't aware of this, right?
I wasn't aware.
I thought so. It's a tricky situation because the contract is in your husband's name.
May I have some time to talk with my husband? I end the call with the manager and place my hand on my belly, contemplating. What does this all mean? Oh my, what are you trying to do? Mom. What? Our house will become a 2-household house. Huh? I told my mother everything I heard from the manager. Did you discuss living together, Kaya? Not at all. We never talked about living together in the future. I see. Maybe you should have a good talk with your husband. Yeah. What will you do if it turns out that he really wants it? I can't accept it, because it means he proceeded without consulting me. I understand. Well, don't worry about the future. You have your own job, and I can take care of the kids. Thank you. Receiving strong words of support from my mother, I become much calmer. I immediately contact my husband. Hello, it's about the house.
Yeah, what is it?
Is the construction going smoothly?
Yeah, I visit it every day.
I see, I can't wait to visit it soon too.
No, you still need to rest. You can't push yourself. I'm taking care of it, so it's fine.
While it may sound like he's concerned about me under normal circumstances, knowing the truth, his words now sound like he doesn't want me to know until it's completed. I want you to send me some pictures.
Well, I don't usually have my phone with me, you know.
The next time, take it with you and take some pictures.
It's kind of, I feel sorry. Taking pictures of the hard-working people at the construction site.
The landscaping is the last thing, right? Our dog will enjoy it, won't he?
Do we really need to get a dog?
Why would you say that?
Well, we're having a baby, and maybe the dog will scare the baby.
Do you think so? Oh, by the way, your mom didn't like dogs, right?
Yeah, that's right. So the dog...
No, that's irrelevant. It's our house after all.
Yeah, you're right.
There won't be any changes to the construction, right?
Yeah, no worries. I'm handling it properly here.
Tyler didn't say there won't be any changes. This sneaky side of him has always been there. He won't clearly affirm it to later escape by saying I never said there won't be any changes. I hung up the phone, but I could only see a difficult future ahead, and I'm only 3 months pregnant. I thought a bright future awaited us, but I never expected to be caught up in such problems. That night, my mother went to visit our under-construction house and took some pictures for me. My mother seems to be furious after seeing the site. This is unbelievable. How could he do something like this? I look at the pictures in shock. The foundation for the 2-household house is clearly built on the land, but there is only enough space in the yard for 2 cars to park. I've never heard of building a 2-household house without a wife's consent. He's clearly trying to smooth things over with an after-the-fact report. Exactly. I can't believe it. Mom, I'm willing to get a divorce and come back home.
Even if he does something like this, you can't trust him anymore, can you?
Yeah.
Fine. Go ahead and come back. You can continue living here.
Thank you. But I'm not getting a divorce just yet.
Well, why not?
It's annoying, you know. If he goes all the way and won't turn back, then I'll get a divorce.
I understand. Make yourself comfortable here.
Afterward, I informed my husband that I would stay at my parents' house for a while. He readily agreed and my condition improved. I was able to spend the mid and late stages of my pregnancy comfortably. And when our child was safely born and a month had passed, my husband told me it was time to come back. I still can't come back. My condition isn't perfect yet.
Huh? But it's been a month since the baby was born. I want to see him soon.
Then why don't you come to my parents' house?
That's a little...
My husband has never been fond of visiting my parents' house because he doesn't get along with my father. For me, this was a convenient situation. In this day and age, if you give birth, you can't come to see your baby. Coronavirus became an unexpected barrier. So my husband hasn't met our child yet. To be honest, I don't feel like bringing them together like this, but that's a discussion for the future. After all, he is the father of the child. My husband continues to contact me frequently, and time passes. 6 months after giving birth, I got in touch with my husband and planned to meet up. However, instead of coming to my parents' house, he suggests meeting at a convenience store near my parents' house, showing his cowardly side. Does he really not want to see my father that badly? As soon as he sees me, my husband looks puzzled.
What about the baby?
The baby is at my parents' house.
Why didn't you come back with the baby?
Because you didn't prepare anything necessary for a newborn.
Well, there's a window though.
Exactly, that's what I thought. With just that, I can't bring the baby home. Today is just me. Despite eagerly waiting to meet the baby, he hasn't prepared anything for the child. This is the extent of his concern. Afterward, my husband drives the car in silence. How's the new place?
Yeah, it's okay, I guess.
Do you think the ceiling is low?
Well, I thought we should have discussed it beforehand.
Tyler continues mumbling without attempting to continue the conversation. During that time, the car arrives at the house. In front of me stands an impressive 2-household house. Oh, what a splendid house. Tyler remains silent, still feeling uncomfortable. I open the front door without caring. It's so dirty. It's hard to believe the room is brand new. The entrance has a bag of garbage, emitting a foul smell. The stairs are dusty and cluttered with trash. And as I enter the living room, my mother-in-law is lying on the messy sofa, munching on potato chips. Oh, it's like a character from a drama I've seen. The dining table is filled with bags from various fast food chains. Well, it's been a long time since I've seen your face. Sorry for the lack of contact. What have you been doing? Hurry up and clean the house. I don't want to. What did you say? I said, I don't want to. Maybe your hearing is failing. What are you saying? I can hear perfectly fine. You're the wife of this house, so clean up quickly. I ignore my ranting mother-in-law and look at my husband. This house is completely different from the one we designed. Well, I already knew that.
Well, it may be like that, but my mom feels lonely alone, and living in a 2-household house means we can live in a bigger house. I thought it would be good.
What? I didn't want that. What you want doesn't matter. You're the daughter-in-law of this house, so you should take care of me, and make sure you clean up the house and pay the mortgage. No, I have no obligation to pay, because I'm not going to live here. What?
Wait a minute, what do you mean?
It's not a matter of what it means. I unleash all of my anger on my husband. You've been planning this since I was hospitalized, haven't you? I knew it. Sending me back to my parents' house was just an excuse to show off. Who will live in a house that doesn't reflect my wishes? You deceitful jerk. Due to raising my voice, my head starts spinning. I gather myself and take a deep breath. I'm getting a divorce. There's no room for negotiation. This is an act that greatly undermines the trust between a husband and wife.
Come on, I can't pay off the loan for this place by myself. Don't you have an obligation to contribute too?
No way! You're the breadwinner and you took care of all the contracts and loans using only your name, right? As the breadwinner, you should be the one paying. Good luck with that, Mr. Breadwinner.
Wait a minute.
There's no way I'm staying in this dirty house for another second. Well, I'll leave this divorce papers here, so sign them. I placed the divorce papers on the cluttered coffee table. Wait a moment. My mother-in-law stopped me as I tried to leave. Tyler, sign it right now.
Huh?
It's fine, isn't it? This kind of wife, let me handle it from here.
Well, but...
No buts, just sign it. My mother-in-law was doing a great job. At that moment, I felt like bowing down to her. Reluctantly, my husband, who couldn't go against his mother, reluctantly picked up the pen, and my mother-in-law hastily scribbled in the approval section. Thank you very much. Well then, goodbye. I left the room in a confident manner, leaving behind the two of them. I submitted the divorce papers and the divorce between me and him was finalized. Afterward, my husband repeatedly tried to reconcile, but he never mentioned anything about the children. He probably can't handle paying off that grand 2-household house loan alone. There's no obligation for me to help them. The child has reached 6 months and has started to smile a lot. I feel like parenting is filled with more difficult moments. However, I find solace in the sight of my past self smiling happily. I'm filled with gratitude for the support of my parents. After a while, I learned from the construction company manager that the 2-household house was put up for sale. It's unfolding exactly as I expected. Even if it sells, it probably won't make a profit. And our family has welcomed a puppy, happily running around in the spacious yard. I wonder if by the time the child starts walking, they will play together. I'm really looking forward to the life ahead. Building a different world without consulting your spouse? How could you? It's the expected outcome. Did you think the child would manage somehow? It's a mystery. It's good that you were able to quickly divorce with the support of your mother. Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing to the channel. Let's meet again in the next video.